Hello, everybody. I am going to give this just a moment because I just feel sort of intuitively like there's some people that are about to pop on who really want to hear this. So as you do pop on, please say hello. You can put something in the comments. You can tap your screen. Do something creative. Let me know that you're here. I really like it when you say hello. And if you're new to me, my name is Lisa Rose. I'm a love and dating coach. I'm the founder of Deeper Love, Better Sex, and I help successful singles clear all the stuff that's in their way of a thriving love life and an awesome sex life so that you get really good at loving. Hey, Matthew. So I wanted to talk today, I've been thinking a lot about since the Me Too movement and the conversations that are happening these days around consent, around consent, around boundaries, around what it means to live in a culture where boundaries are often not respected. And I want to kind of shape this conversation in terms of culture and context with the aim of trying to bridge the gap and bring more understanding, because people, we don't just show up in these random ways. We don't just behave badly because, that's the best that we can come up with. Culture is a really strong factor, a really strong influencer in all the ways that we behave, and particularly around the way gender and sexuality. So welcome, everybody. Excited that you're here. So just to give like a little backdrop, and you can start to see the ways that this could become problematic. So women in this culture are traditionally conditioned to speak, to talk, to have boundaries that are sort of more mutable, to be the nice girl, to be polite, to not necessarily make a really firm line in the sand about this is what's okay and this is what's not okay. And men, and this is what I'm going to talk about further, because from a very early age, there's a deep sense of shame that is kind of intrinsic to their sexuality. They grow up with this feeling that they can't have what they want, and they can't have all that they want, and that their desires are inherently shameful or bad. And that is a really sad, tragic thing. I just want to say that is a really sad, tragic thing. I totally celebrate your desire as a man and as a woman. So what happens in that is that there's this kind of sense of, well, if I want it, I have to take it. And if I ask for it and I get a no and I still want it, then I still am going to have it. So I'm not a man, but I have worked with a number of men, and I've been around and dated a whole bunch of men. And one thing that I know is that testosterone is a very powerful force, right? So testosterone starts to come online in a boy's body to some degree between about age 14 and 17. If I'm speaking to the choir and you know what I mean, you can let me know. But it's like this raging fire, and it's a very kind of instinctual thing. It's not a very cognitive, rational. And at about age 14, 15, 16, there's still a fair amount of limited cognition. The brain is still really developing, and it's much slower to develop for boys than it is for girls developmentally. So they've got all this like, fire, drive and hormones and interest in girls, against a backdrop in a culture where very few families even have a conversation about what it's like to start becoming an actively sexual being, or about what it's like to how to deal with all of those impulses and all of those drives and all of those desires. So that absence of conversation is implicitly shaming, because it doesn't in any way help us to recognize this is a natural part of me. The body is doing what it's designed to be doing, and this is a good thing, and it should be celebrated. Does this make sense to you guys? Any comments or questions? So the young boy, he's becoming a teenager, he's having all of this sort of like new stuff happen in his body, but nobody's talking about it. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody's giving him some direction or some guidance. Nobody's sitting down and saying, you know what, this is a really good thing that you feel all this, and here's some ways you might want to pursue it so that it's Tad, you have some more information, and B, you don't feel like it's a bad thing. So I actually want to just take a quick look because I actually wrote a few things down today. Oh yeah. So that sense of from a very early age, feeling shamed, feeling disparaged, feeling like something that is a very natural thing that's happening in your body has to be hidden or has to be controlled. That sense of shame lives really, really deeply in the body. And I've talked to so many men who struggled for so many years because that shame really undermined their sense of confidence, their sense that they deserved a woman, that they deserved a healthy sexual relationship. And so imagine, like, you know, for those of us as women, we've probably all dieted, right? So you know that tension that happens when you really want something and you have this idea or belief that it's bad. There's a lot of friction and a lot of tension, and it's hard to make really sound, kind of reasonable and inclusive decisions in the mix of all of that. So a lot of the work that I do with men is I help to kind of unpack and separate their sexuality from shame. Those two things really don't have any business being together, and they really convolute what happens in our bodies, but also how we go about acting on our desires, right? Like, just imagine for a moment, just try this on. You live in a culture, you live in a world where your sexuality is totally celebrated. You grow up with lots of positive messages where somebody is helping you, kind of guiding you how to be with all of that energy, how to feel good about your masculinity, how to feel good about your sexuality, right? Chances are, when you moved out into the world and saw women everywhere, these incredibly hot, sexy beings, right, that you would be inclined to approach them in a way that wasn't so much about, I want that, you know, how can I get that? But in a way that was really honoring, and that was very, there's a word that I was thinking, what's the word? Kind of like inclusive. There's a way of taking all of those urges and being very real and very honest with them, but not from this place of I have to take or I have to have. And that's really where consent, you know, where it's like, it's okay, thanks you guys, it's okay to hear a no or a not now or a no thank you, because it doesn't add to that pile that you already have in your psyche and in your heart, in your body, about being fundamentally bad because of this, you know, this tremendous urge and desire that you have. So in today's live stream, actually what I'm mostly interested in doing is just kind of naming the territory. You know, obviously when I work with people, we go much deeper into this, but I feel like this is a conversation that needs to be had more often so that both sexes really kind of understand some of the dynamics that are at play. Because of course I hear from, you know, my women clients that they sometimes feel frustrated that a man seems to just have an agenda. And men, you know, men have got all this other stuff going on that I've already named a bunch of it. So here's the suggestion that I want to make. If you are a man, I would really invite you to just be curious about what were some of your early messages that you got about your body, about your sexuality, about your desire, about your sexual power. Were you shamed? Were you made to feel bad? Were you disparaged? Was there just like nothing said? And how much of that is still living inside of you? And how much of it is conscious? Or how much of it are you just acting out in patterns that are sort of, you're not quite sure why these results are happening, you know, why you're missing in certain ways with women, or why your relationships get a little funky or clunky. But just to start to do like an exploration with your curiosity hat on about what are some of the remnants, what's the residue, what's still percolating inside you. And does your relationship with your own sexuality feel really clean? Does it feel really healthy? Does it feel like you make choices that are in alignment with your integrity? And the way that you know is you don't feel remorse or regret. You don't, or the person or people that you're engaging with also don't. That's an important part too. And if you're listening as a woman, what I want to just invite you is just to, it's been really helpful for me to have this understanding because it's deepened my sense of both understanding and empathy and compassion. We live in a culture that has all kinds of crazy, convoluted ideas about desire, about sexuality, about sex, about pleasure. So we all have to find our way within that without a lot of really helpful guidance and messages. And it's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about what I do, because when one of my clients is able to leave all that crap behind and really step into a fully embodied and fully choiceful relationship with their sexuality, it's a very beautiful thing. And I'm speaking from experience here. So if there's any questions or comments, it looks like I'm seeing them, but as you pop on and as you listen to the replay, if anything gets stimulated in you or if you have a curiosity about something, please feel free to pop it into the comments. And if you like this and you're not already in my group, you can find me at Dating Wisdom for Successful Singles. I'm actually going to be opening up, I'm taking applications. I'm going to have about 2 spots open in the next month or so. So I'm starting to take applications for people that want to work together. That's really where the deeper work happens and where you get to line up your energy and your passion and your desire and your sexuality and feel really good about it and get a lot more yeses rather than ews. Hopefully you're not getting too many ews, but it feels pretty good to get a lot of yeses when you know how to make requests and asks in ways that, it's harder to say no to. All right, everybody, I hope you have a really great rest of your day.